What's happening? And welcome to High Life, the Round Table Sessions. I am your host. My name is Daniel Eduardo from the band breonna. This is our third installment of the Round Table Sessions, but today we got some new special guests with us that hang out with us. So I'm going to start to my left, which is your right, and I'm going to start with this gentleman here. He is from Scotland. Tell us a little about you. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you here?
Well, hello Round Table Sessions. Thank you for having me.
Hello, Andy Wells.
My name is Andy Wells. I'm the drummer from Amongst Wolves, and I'm from Glasgow, and it's the best place ever.
Great. And then returning for a second episode.
Second
one.
Nice.
Due to popular demand, we have the one and only Samantha Jabangwe. Tell us who you are and what do you do.
First off, Daniel, don't say my government on live YouTube channels, okay?
The people wanted to know what is Sammy.
I am Samantha Kinopa Jabangwe. I'm Rhoda Jabangwe's daughter, Golden Sakisa Kala's daughter, and I am in a band called Soulbox, and I sing. Sometimes I rap, and most times you'll find me here at this round table for a session.
Fantastic. Wait, I forgot to ask you, what do you actually do in Amongst Wolves?
I play drums. That's right, I covered you. I said that for you, so you didn't have to.
You did say that. Oh, man.
Listen.
I'm not listening.
If you listen, that'd
good
be
listening. My wife will be so disappointed with me right now. She says always, Daniel, let's practice some good listening right now. Let's practice good listening. Anyway, and to my right and also to your left, we have, what's your name?
My name is Gina Atkins, and you just completely forgot who I was. It's great to be here, Daniel.
She's been here like 5 times.
You're the veteran here. You've been as many times as I have
The
been.
original OG.
You're the original.
Here I am.
And Gina, for those that are probably watching this for the very first time, what do you do?
Yes, it's a great question. I am the singer in OTC. I don't rap, although I attempt. And yeah, I am the daughter of Andy Atkins and Alison Atkins.
We are just
Go
our
on,
parents,
then.
our parents' governments out there. Go on.
The parents are going to be featured on
They're
this
gonna
show.
love it.
And then last but not least, we have potentially my favorite drummer in the whole wide world after Will Smith.
After Will Smith?
Yeah, have you never watched Fresh Prince?
Will Smith is a drummer.
Yeah, he plays drums.
drummer.
And
Will Smith could
Jazzy
just do everything.
What about
Jeff.
Justin Bieber?
Remember when we saw him live?
Yeah, we did see him live.
That's a whole
different
conversation.
story for a different
But
time.
you guys can check it on YouTube.
You can.
Joe and I saw Justin Bieber, the James Corden show in LA, front row.
2015?
2015. The
And
same
they
year as
never
Jacob.
stop
And
talking about
we keep
it.
showing
Yeah.
it. So if you type in Justin Bieber plays drums at the James Corden show, you'll
see us.
you'll see both of us
You'll see.
clapping and be like pointing and that kind of stuff.
Disclaimer, it's a very different Joe and a very different Daniel, so heads up.
Anyway, Joe, would you introduce yourself, bro? What do you do? Who
Hi,
are you?
I am Joe, and I play drums in Brightline in the same band as you.
Same band.
Yeah.
We've
So,
been-
I'm the son of Stephen K. Barrett. I have
Steve.
3 siblings: Sam, Heather, and Joe, and I have a load of nieces and nephews too. Any more
Married to one
detail?
wife?
Oh, I have a wife called Ruth. She's great.
What does she do?
She makes and fits prosthetic limbs. Right, there you go.
That's like a serious job.
That's a serious job.
We sit around the table.
We session at tables, and she fits
and then
legs.
she fits
Yeah.
legs.
Like
Anyway,
to order so I could get a third arm, or just when you need it.
Talk to her.
talk to
I
her.
will.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll be a special guest in one of the shows talking about what it means to be
Prosthetic limbs.
fit prosthetic limbs. I feel like so many times. Anyway, we could go on
Yeah.
a different time.
Yeah,
but I don't want to
yeah,
do that. Anyway, so it's been an interesting week. Any particular news stuff that you've seen in like that was funny, and I want to bring that to the table. Start with you, Joe.
Yeah. So I saw on the news yesterday, and it was on the radio this morning. There was this.
Wait, you were on the radio this morning?
No. Yeah, I was on the radio, and then I rushed here. On the radio and in the news, there were these 5 parrots that have been moved to a zoo in Lincolnshire. But the thing is, these 5 parrots, they've had to be moved out of public view because they can't stop swearing. So what happens is one parrot starts swearing, and then the other parrots like laugh at him, and then like another one starts swearing. It goes round and round. But now the zoo's worried that now they've moved them out of public view, that the rest of the parrots are going to start swearing too.
so
there'll be
funny.
250 birds
Just swearing.
just swearing.
Do you want to know something hilarious, guys?
Yes.
I actually have a swearing parrot. Like, I actually
Really?
have a
So
parrot.
it's your fault.
Yeah, it's me. It's
You're
my
the one who
little
came into the
cat.
zoo.
I know, in my little house in Ilkeston, my parrot Yorkie swears.
Oh wow.
So
It
funny.
genuinely is crazy how well they can imitate and like what they can pick
Yeah,
up.
where did you learn it from,
Where
Gina?
did
Definitely not me, and I would not like to name or shame anybody. So that's that.
Good. I like that. No shaming. No shaming. Well, any of you guys seen anything kind of fun, interesting?
Interesting, to be fair. So there's this teacher, 35-year-old teacher in America, right? So he's tatted all over himself. Elementary teacher. Is that like
real?
reception here?
That's
or is
primary,
it? It's
primary
a
school, yeah.
primary school teacher, right? And they had to like move him to not teach anyone who's below the age of 6 because he now blackened his the white of his lids. So a 3-year-old complained because he was getting nightmares. So his mum came in and said, I don't like it anymore because my child is getting nightmares. So this guy, his nickname is Freaky Good, I believe.
Wait,
I don't
sorry,
like
his name
this.
is...
His nickname is Freaky Good,
Freaky
I
Good.
believe. And he spent 460 hours under the tattoo needle. And
Sorry,
he's
under the
given-
what?
Under the tattoo needle.
Alright.
So or in total for the amount of
just-
tattoos that he has. So yeah,
That's a
now
lot.
it's gotten to the point where he can't teach young kids anymore.
Oh,
my
that's
gosh.
mind blowing.
Well, I saw something interesting. That was weird. But I feel like mine is a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah?
David Attenborough has Instagram. David Attenborough has finally joined the world of
David.
Instagram. Welcome, mate. Honestly, your mind is going to be blown.
Oh.
I know David from back
Oh,
in
is
the
he
day.
watching?
You
Is he
know
watching
David
this?
Attenborough?
David
Is he
Attenborough
watching
just,
this?
hangs out with us. What's up, bro?
Give us a follow.
Give us a follow.
Amongst Wolves team.
Yeah, give us a follow at Brighton Band. Anyway, so he joined Instagram
Yeah.
and 4 million followers in the space of an hour.
Go on, David.
I mean, that's similar to the Brightline account.
It's interesting. Ours was 58 minutes, 4 million followers. So 2 minutes later.
Ours was 57.
Oh,
Odd,
okay,
that.
so
Yeah.
you win. It's a race. So yeah, that's my news. David Attenborough has joined Instagram, and I've been following every day. I want to check out his documentary as well. You've seen his documentary.
It's
haven't you?
so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
his documentary.
one's
he's
this?
released documentaries over the past
I know.
50 years.
His most recent
Yeah.
documentary.
Most recent
His
one.
most recent one.
It's
Because he was
fantastic.
sat next to Prince William as well, which is quite cute. Because he was sat on Prince William's chair,
Yes,
and Prince
I saw
William
that.
sat on David Attenborough's chair.
I've never watched the David Attenborough anything.
You know what?
Savage.
You know
I
what?
know.
There's
I
so
will,
much
though.
we
I
need
will.
to educate
I
you
will.
on.
Wow,
So
you're
much
just
to
Such a
educate you
beautiful
on.
Blow your
human
mind.
being.
But today, one of the things I wanted for us to look at and probably chat a little bit about this, because it's a pretty deep topic, and I don't think like 20 minutes is time enough to be able to cover it. But guys, I don't know if you've seen, obviously, early this year, there's been, especially in America, there's been loads of civil unrest. There's been loads of rioting. People are angry. People are angry at the injustice. There's been a lot of killing, especially towards black people. And there was this death, Breonna Taylor, was sleeping. She was in bed, a paramedic. In March, a few officers, I think it was 6 officers, came in and they just shot her and killed her as she was chilling in bed. I mean, let's just pause for a second. Just pause for a second. Like, imagine you're sleeping, you had a long day at work, paramedic as well, you know what I'm saying? So it would have been an intense day of work. Paramedic goes home, had a long day, goes to sleep, doesn't wake up because an officer, a bunch of officers shoot her and she dies. But this week it came to light that, and I want to make sure that I read this properly, that the grand jury on Wednesday indicted Brett Hankinson, which was one of the officers, on 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment. So he got done not for killing Breonna Taylor, but because the bullets went into another room. So let me read it. Jurors said several bullets he fired outside of Taylor's apartment on March the 13th, which was the day that Breonna died. Several bullets he fired outside Breonna Taylor's apartment on March the 13th went into a neighboring unit where a pregnant woman, a man, and a child were at home. And it's because of that he got done.
So he's faced charges for damaging a wall rather than a human life.
Instead of a human life.
Man,
Right.
that's
That's
insane
shocking.
when you put it like
That
that.
It's
is
mad when you
It's
put it like
So
insane.
this is like injustice
Yeah.
whole another level. And obviously, we all Christians, we all follow Jesus. And the central person in the Christian
Yeah.
faith, Jesus,
Yeah.
he speaks loads against injustice. Man, he stands up for the oppressed, he stands up for the poor, for the ostracized, for the people that are put in the corners. He stands up. So my question is, what do we as Christians, how do we react to this? What do we see in the Bible regarding standing up against injustice?
I think one of my favourite like Jesus stories, which is in Luke 8, is when like Jesus, he's in a crowd of like loads and loads of people, and he's walking through, going to some place, and this woman has been like ill, like for 12 years, right? And she has been going to see as many doctors and like physicians as she can to be made well again. And they've like ripped her off and like taken loads of money off her. She's been like properly messed around by everybody. And she sees Jesus and she just thinks, if I just manage to touch his cloak, then maybe I'll be healed. And like just that whole humble thing, I'm not even asking, but like she's been so like messed about by other people. She's just like, if only I could just touch his cloak, I'll be healed. And then she touches his cloak and sorted right away. And Jesus, what I love is he doesn't just carry on walking and just like go away and carry on. He's like, no, where did that power go? Something's changed, someone's touched me, even when he's crowded by everybody. And then he faces the woman who's been like dealt utterly unjust over the past 12 years. And he speaks to her and says, like, your faith has healed you. But I just love the whole thing of Jesus not even ignoring her, but actually taking that time and speaking to her and sorting out the issue when so many people have treated her unfairly.
He just could carry it on, couldn't he?
100%.
He could have just pushed it to
100%.
the side and said, you know what? You know what? You're an inconvenience right now. I got this thing. I need to go to this guy's house to sort some stuff out, and you are. But no, he stopped. He paused. He did what was opposite of what culture would dictate.
Totally.
And again, as followers of Jesus, that's what we are taught to do. You know, we read the Bible. It's like, man, we need to stand up against the oppressed. We need to stand up. Not stand against. We need against oppression. We need to stand up against injustice. That's what we need to do. I mean, I love this story about. We see in Luke 10, and we talk about it loads, the story of the Good Samaritan, right? Where it's this moment of Jesus chatting with some people, and they say, who's our neighbor then? Because Jesus said, love your God with everything that you have, and love your neighbor as yourself. And it was a pretty long story, but basically, it's like the upside down kind of thinking. You know, there's this one guy called a Samaritan, which was considered to be an enemy of the people. He gets mugged, he's on a business trip, he gets mugged, and then he's laid kind of half dead on the floor. And then this one important person comes, looks at him, ignores him, moves on. Another person comes, looks at him, ignores him, and moves on. And then all of a sudden, a person that would be considered his enemy looks at him, helps him, and takes him home, cleans his wounds. And then Jesus said, that's what you're meant to be doing. Stand up for the oppressed. Stand up against injustice, which is insane. Any other thoughts of what the Bible might say about, or even what it feels for you? You know, what does it mean for you to stand up against injustice, to stand up for the oppressed?
Well, I'm a heterosexual white man, so the amount of injustice I've faced in my life is minimal at most. So like, I can walk down the street and know I'm completely safe. I can walk to the shops and not, I know that people are thinking regular thoughts, but no one's going to judge me because of the way I look or the way I behave. And it really, really messes with my mind. I really find it just so unjust and unfair that there are other people who don't experience that because it's something that I have taken for granted my whole life.
Totally.
And it's not fair. And this last year, I've really been awoken to just how much I've taken for granted and how much I've been ignorant of it. And I think one of the main things we should do now is really, really research actually just how unjust the system is. And what we can do in our own everyday life to make the people around us that we experience, that we see, feel loved, feel safe, feel accepted just for being who they are, because that's exactly what Jesus did. And if everyone does that, then that's the problem solved.
Totally.
And it's one of the things that's been so amazing for me is obviously like you guys we don't just work together, like these are actually people that I do life with on so many different levels, and these are like friends of mine. And I've not really been somebody who's posted a lot on social media or whatever because I don't usually do that a lot. But one thing that's been breathtaking is seeing all my friends doing that kind of stuff, and not just like posting and signing petitions or whatever, but like really learning. I feel like as I've chatted to like a lot of people, other like Black people or like African American people, and been hearing their sides of the stories as well as mine, it's felt like such a massive weight for us for so long. And now to have people come alongside us to be like, yo, do you know what, you're valuable? Like it's something that a lot of the times we've not always felt, and it actually is getting me really emotional, but it's been so incredible to see my friends do that for me. Like even just like speaking and thinking of the fact that it's going to be Black History Month in like the next couple of weeks or whatever, like that's mad to me. I've never had that highlighted to me in my life before, and I've lived in the UK since I was like 7, and I've never studied it in school, never looked at it, and now there's this actual like, yeah guys, we're actually going to look into this and we're going to learn and celebrate and change our system and see what we can do. That's just been amazing for me. So like, thank you so much for just being willing to just do that, man, to just like stop, pause, reflect and see like how can I uplift other people.
Amazing. Love that stuff. There's this passage in the Bible I was just trying to find the whole verses in the Bible where they would talk about what we're talking about right now. What does it mean? Because the Bible talks a lot about justice. You know, like we said, Jesus talks a lot about justice. And there's one story I particularly like, which is in Mark 11. And there's this moment when Jesus goes into this place of worship, the temple, and he goes in, and the purpose is to worship God and to pray and to do a whole bunch of stuff. And then he sees something. And then as he sees something, his blood boils. You know what I'm saying? His blood all of a sudden and it talks about him just flipping tables and kicking people out and all that kind of stuff. And if you read that, you're like, wait a minute. My hippie Jesus guy, the guy with the little lamb underneath his arm, you see those pictures, right? The sweet shepherd, like really tender,
golden face,
blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus, like you know what I'm saying, which is all fake. But anyway, we don't want. There's a whole different conversation. That's a whole different round table session. But that kind of image that we have, all peaceful and meek. He's peaceful, but man, he can kick butt. You know what I'm saying? He can like. Turn stuff upside down. So he goes into the temple, he flips tables, he kicks people out, and then he says, this place is supposed to be a place of worship, and you made it into a den of robbers. But the story behind that is, as Jesus walks in, he sees this injustice that's happening. Yeah. There's this group of people that are selling certain items for worship and for sacrifices, and they're overcharging and they're stealing and all that kind of stuff. And he's seeing that the poor, the people that don't actually have money, the marginalized, can't do the stuff that they want to do, like worship God, which is what we're all meant to be doing. So the action of certain people are stopping other people from worshiping God. And Jesus sees that and he's like, I'm not having that. And he flips everything and kicks them out, says, no, we're not having that. Yeah. Man, I want to be that type of person. Yeah. I want to be that type of person that, yes, I love you and I care for you, but I'm not going to stand for what you just did or for what you just said.
Yeah, and it's using that righteous anger, like that anger for a good cause. There's nothing wrong with being angry, but we have to use it in the right way. Yeah. That's the most important thing to remember. Like, we can still be loving and gentle in how we rebuke and challenge people, and it's making sure we show that they still have value, but the way they've been behaving and their reactions to other people is wrong, and that's what needs to be challenged. Not them as people, but their behaviors and their actions needs to be challenged, and using that righteous anger to fuel that in you as well is an important thing.
So there's this other part, I'm just going to read in my notes, this other part in the Bible, which is in Isaiah, and it says this: learn to do good, seek justice, help the oppressed, defend the cause of orphans, fight for the rights of widows. And again, it's this whole thing, like throughout the whole Bible, it talks about let's stand up against what is wrong. Let's stand up for what is right. Yeah. Let's have that same attitude as Jesus. What, you brought some really important stuff there. If you were to give a tip, as we kind of wrap stuff up, if you were to give a tip to someone, it's like, you know what, I see this injustice. I've been a target of injustice myself. I feel like life is not fair. But if you were to give a tip for someone to act upon it, what would you say to them? Like, how can someone stand up against injustice? How can someone stand up against evil? What tips would you give? Joe,
I think the first off, I think when everything happened with George Floyd, I suddenly realised that I didn't know much, and that I was actually like, there was so much that I needed to educate myself on. I've just found over this time that actually I need to educate myself. Like Andy was saying, white male, like I've had privilege that I've not even realised that I've had growing up. It's actually being aware of that and getting to know that more. So for me, that was definitely the first step of like, okay, cool, let's find out about this. I might not understand it at first, but I need to, it's important. It's way bigger than me or anything like that. I need to like really take time and understand what is going on. And then I think after that, from that point, it's like, okay, cool. What can I do?
That's great.
Like, yeah.
That's really good. That's really good.
I think
Gina?
like going off the back of what Joe said, it's not being afraid as well. It's not being afraid to like ask for questions and like initiate the hard conversations, because like, yeah, you might need to educate yourself, you might not know, but you're never going to know unless you have those like conversations with people. So it's just not being afraid to chat with people about it and just be real about areas that you might be lacking in terms of like knowledge and stuff. So yeah, it's almost like getting over yourself a little bit and just admitting that you don't know everything. And you're willing, because you love people, to get over that and sort of swallow your pride a little bit and just be like, talk to me, tell me everything I don't know, kind of thing.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Off the back of what Gina said, I think we also need to realise sometimes we can be the problem. For me, it was my own. For me, it was my own ignorance. Growing up in Glasgow, in Scotland, there weren't that many other people of a different skin colour to me growing up. Then I moved to Manchester, and I was like, wow, there's such a wide diversity of people here. It's awesome. But I had no idea of their cultures or their experiences, and with that, I had my own ignorance and my own prejudice that I carried. So just let go of your pride. Admit that you've got it. It's okay. Admit you've got it. Right. That's the starting place to get better, is admitting you've got it, and then from there work forwards. And if you see it in other people, lovingly challenge them. Don't get angry at them. Don't shout at them. Say, look, hey, please hear my heart in this. I think you need to change with this. And here's what I've noticed. I think you can do it better by doing this. Things like that are really important. But first, solve the problem within yourself, and then you can look outwards.
That's true friendship, isn't it? That's true friendship. Sorry, Sam, you can say.
No, I was gonna add with that, like specifically, like, because you and me have had loads of conversations when all of this stuff kind of like came about, and just because you're of dual heritage and you've experienced stuff, and myself as a black female, when I read stuff and I started to unlock that stuff, I became really angry, and I knew for a fact that the moment that I opened my mouth, I wasn't going to express anything helpful. Now, some people have had to process and they've been angry, and it's like, just let those people just process, because they've been dealing and handling so much, and have like a lot of patience and stuff as people of different ethnicities that are like, yeah, like, we have been treated so unjustly for so long, and I'm angry about it. But for me personally, as a follower of Jesus, I had to remember that actually God has called me to speak up against injustice in a loving way, and to actually bring a solution. And if I just stopped at anger and just pointing out this is what's wrong in society, there was never going to be a solution. And one thing that I really found was like that thing of like, hurt people hurt people. As long as I remain hurt, I'm just going to continue spreading a lot of hurt again. And having a relationship with God is amazing, because I get to come to him and I'm like, God, this is what I'm struggling with. And my heart right now is getting really hard towards like humanity, and I need you to make my heart soft again, because I want to love people. And ultimately, the solution is I want people to come and know who you are, because that's where true transformation comes from. That's where people are like, I know how to love because God has loved me. That's the only reason why I know how to love. And remembering that helps me love people. And so, yeah, I guess my challenge to people that, like, if you are black, brown, I would challenge you to really try and find that healing first, because it's so freeing, and it's been amazing for me personally.
So
like,
good. It's good. So good. So good. I mean, ultimately, you know, we want to see. I genuinely believe in this. We want to see reconciliation, people reconnected, but most importantly, we want to see people reconnected with God again, which is ultimately what Jesus did. No, Jesus, yes, we stand up against injustice and we do that, but we want to reconcile people to God. We want to introduce people to God, because ultimately it's God that brings transformation in the heart, isn't it? Just to kind of finish off, this is one of my favorite speeches of all time, and I just want to read this. And I feel like I've read this in a whole new light. And this is the famous speech, I Have a Dream, by Martin Luther King Jr. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's pretty big, but I'm going to kind of read probably the most famous bits of it. And he says this: I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will be not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. And as I was reading that, I'm taken to this. beautiful bit in the Bible, in Revelation. Revelation is the last book of the Bible, and it says this. And this is like a picture of what is to come. The picture when everything is kind of put right, when there's no more tears, there's no more pain, there's no more suffering. And it says this: after this, I saw a massive crowd, too great to count, from every nation and tribe and people and language, standing in front of the throne and before Jesus. And they will have these white robes and palm branches on their hands. And it's just a whole idea of one day. Oh my gosh, even just thinking about that, I'm like, ah!
So good,
You know what I'm saying? But
man.
one day, people from every nation, like language would not be an issue, color, nothing. Everyone would just be all together before Jesus, just like worshiping him, singing songs, everything be put to right, people reconciled. And I just wonder if Dr. Martin Luther King read this passage of scripture and that inspired. I just wondered, like, he then could say, I have a dream that one day my 4 kids, will not be judged by the color of the skin, but by the content of the heart. That the sons of slaves and sons of slave owners will be sat around the round table together, having food together. Man, what a day that will be.
That's it, man. That's the result.
But until that day, we need to do our bit. We need to keep on fighting, standing up against injustice, standing up for the oppressed, but ultimately reconnecting people to God, because that's what we're called to do. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it. Obviously, it's a big subject. There's so much we can talk about more. But make sure you join us every Wednesday at 5 p.m. for the roundtable sessions. And we will just be talking about stuff that's happening within pop culture. And make sure you join us this Friday at 5 p.m. as we have the final Friday night with Brightline, which is going to go off, I know. But we got some cool, exciting stuff that's going to be going down with everybody in weeks to come. It's going to go off. So make sure you keep your eyes open. Make sure you subscribe to Amongst Wolves, to Soulbox, to OTC, and to Brightline, and to Higher Tour as well, YouTube page and Instagram. We love you. We appreciate you. Remember, in the midst of the storms of life, there is hope. See you next week. Peace. Take care.